Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. The Reggae Boyz needed all three points, but were left to make do with one after the 1-1 draw with the USA in their CONCACAF World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium in Kingston on Tuesday. In a match played in front of just over 4,000 fans, the Reggae Boyz rallied after conceding in the 11th minute to put in, by all accounts, their best performance of this octagonal round. The SportsMax Zone team, Mariah Ramarak, Rain Buchanan and company, that team was on hand and they prepared this report.
The Theodore Tapper Whitmore coach, Jamaica Reggae Boyz, failed to secure a much-needed 3 points on home soil in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying action against the mighty USA. Following a somewhat controversial draw inside the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica, as over 4,000 fully vaccinated fans were allowed in the stands for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to a brilliant strike in the 22nd minute from Jamaica's West Ham striker, Michael Antonio, the Reggae Boyz dampened the USA spirit as they had to settle for their third draw of the campaign. When the dust settled and each team collected a point apiece, let's take some reactions to the draw.
Yeah, we deserve 3 points tonight, but it's football. You know, that's the way it is. And, you know, we need to start getting 3 points, especially at home. But nonetheless, you know, we're grateful for a point. You know, it might end up being a very big point down the road. So, I mean, we haven't lost, you know, and we haven't lost a game in a while. So I think that's very important. And we just have to keep going. We are very close, and we just have to keep pushing games, and hopefully sooner than later we can turn things around.
How did you feel about playing at home in front of the people that love you and they were supporting you?
It was really good. You know, they gave us a vibe for sure. You know, they made us feel like, you know, we're in it for the entire time. You know, they were even applauding us at a halftime. So we really appreciate that. And, you know, we're happy to have them back. You know, they were nice and loud, even though they were a few tonight. But nonetheless, we're happy for them, and hopefully for the next home game we can have a bit more in here.
I think we could have won the game in the end, but I think it's a well-deserved point. They're a good team. I think everyone performed well. I think if we took our chances, we could have won the game.
Ravel, do you think Jamaica, their chances of actually qualifying for the World Cup, what do you make of that?
It's never over until it's over, but we've got a good chance. If we play like we've played in the last 2 games with the same type of energy and belief, I think we can definitely go forward.
I'm going to let you go now, but talk to our Jamaica Reggae Boyz fans. They're cheering you on and they really want you to qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. But we appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Excellent performance, and the team, I think we went down. We show commitment, and we came back. We never give up. I think we let off the US tonight. I think the boys deserve our three points, but unfortunately we came away with only a point. But we have to still believe, we have to still work it. To be honest, I'm not a coach that like to complain about officiating. That's their job, that's their conscience to live with, you know. But later this afternoon to morning, we'll go back and we assess the tapes and see.
A few more matches, a lot at home, top 4?
Well, nothing is impossible. You just have to keep believing. Good thing about it this afternoon is that we get the fans in the stand, and they made a huge difference this afternoon. You know, so hopefully come next year we'll have more fans cheering on the boys.
I think it was a drastic improvement. We had all the chess pieces, most of them on the pitch, and a good effort all around. I think that goal wasn't a foul, but not a lot you could have done differently. I think the team played well, but they should have kept the ball more. I would have had Grant involved in the game earlier, maybe from the start, but I think that it's a step in the right direction, and it was a pleasure to see Michael, Leon and all the guys on the pitch at the same time.
Even though the Reggae Boyz' chances of making it to a second FIFA World Cup hangs in the balance, the boys are confident that they will fight to the end and leave everything to the powers that be if they are to make it to Qatar 2022.
Right, so that's the report filed by the team that was led by Mariah Ramarak. Mariah, the ringside view, you had the ringside seat. So the view from ringside during the game, well, let me take it to you in stages. What was the mood immediately after the USA opening goal?
Well, everybody was extremely happy, you know, they were roaring with excitement. You asked about
USA
the USA
goal, the 11th minute.
Oh no, spirits were down. People were very angry. George and Lance, but they didn't give up hope. They felt as if they would come back into the game. Many were asking, you know, for Leon to score. They were cheering him on. Really, the vibe actually raised in the stadium because I felt as if the fans knew that they were important to ensure that we got that equalizer.
11 minutes later, Antonio comes up with a worldie reaction from then.
Well, it's the first time I heard so much patois in my life because, I mean, I'm really limited to the Kingston area and, you know, from studio to home and whatnot. I heard so many different versions of, you know, everybody speaking and they were extremely excited. Michael Antonio could do no wrong for the rest of the game because, you know, everybody was saying, that's our boy and, you know.
Yeah, as the game wore old and it was still at 1-1, do you get the sense from those inside the stadium that they were impatient with some players, that they wanted the coach to make some plays? Did you hear them say, coach, replace that man with that man? Did you hear that kind of thing?
Yeah, there were a lot of coaching going on in the stands. A lot of people felt as if Bobby Reid should have come off a bit earlier. They were very angry. You know, some of them who didn't even know his name were saying number 10, and they had a lot to say about that. So, yeah, they would have made a lot of different changes.
What was the view? You spoke about Michael Antonio not being able to do anything wrong. Were there people calling for Ravel Morrison before he was introduced? And what was the view about how Leon Bailey was playing?
Yeah, Ravel Morrison was actually warming up for a very long time. We felt as if he was going onto the field much earlier. And he kept warming up to the point where we felt, all right, maybe he's just warming up and he would not get the opportunity. So when Bobby Reid made the error, that's when everybody said, well, bring in Ravel Morrison. And George and Lance, you all saw the change in the energy of the team once Ravel took the field.
Yeah, the Leon Bailey response. How did the crowd react to him?
Well, Leon Bailey is one of Jamaica's own. So the fact that he started and everybody had him on the field, you know, there were only compliments for Leon, except they felt as if, because I was listening to some people sitting, just random people, nobody that I knew personally or anything, saying as if, you know, Leon could have scored a couple of times and they felt as if he disappointed them in those moments, but yet still, you know, still cheering him on and hoping that they could have gotten that final goal to secure the win.
I hear Mariah talking about the range of patois that she was hearing, George. There were a lot of other words that she heard that I suggest that she won't repeat on the show.
No, they were a combination of bad words. Like mixing of them.
Mixing, yeah. What was the type of reaction? Was there anybody who was barracking at Whitmore or other members of his coaching staff saying, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? Or were they patient with him and just talking about the players? From what you heard.
So the first thing is, there weren't much post-match interviews.
No, man, I'm talking during the game. During the game, did you hear persons abusing or complimenting Whitmore? What were they saying?
There were mixed reactions. There were those that felt as if Tapper knew what he was doing and that he wasn't actually playing the match. So many were on his team, you know, saying
on his
that
side.
On his side. Give him the opportunity. You know, these players are mature as well. You can only coach a player up to a certain point. You can't execute on the field and whatnot. So there were those. But then there were a lot of them actually with signs saying Tapper out.
What? Signs?
Yeah.
We didn't see that from where we were watching the game.
No, well, I guess they didn't show much.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of the stands, to be fair.
No.
Tapper out?
Yeah.
Placards? Tapper out?
But that's not surprising, George.
No, it's not.
It's not in our culture, though. It's in our culture to picket and demonstrate outside of an office building or for government to see.
But not on a football match.
But not at a football match.
To get a coach removed.
That's new to Jamaica.
I think they see it so much on television that they would do that, George. And given the reaction by a lot of the fans on talk radio and so on in Jamaica, I'm not surprised, quite frankly, because there are a lot of people in Jamaica who think Tapper is a failure, which I don't understand, but a lot of people feel that way.
And there were a lot of USA fans as well. I just want to say that a lot of them came in to support their team, and I had the opportunity to speak to their press officer. He was supposed to come live with me, and he was nervous about the game, you know.
You're talking about good friend Robert Adelson?
No.
The press officer from the USA team.
Yeah. They were nervous. They knew that they could not come into Jamaica and beat the team. Yeah. And so said, so done. And I feel as if that also played on their performance.
Did you get the sense, Mariah, that the USA left the National Stadium feeling relieved that they had escaped with a 1-1 draw, or disappointed that they let the game slip and could only draw a 1-1?
I would say they left relieved, and I'm saying that based on the conversation I had with their press officer at the top of the game, because they came into this knowing that you're not going to walk all over Jamaica, even though they haven't been playing their best football. However, when they were leaving, I mean, I couldn't really gauge their reactions, because Christian Pulisic, he left even before we could have seen him, because he's somebody I would have definitely gotten to interview for our show. He left way before because he had a flight. He has a game coming up. The rest of the players, I think they just wanted to get out of the stadium. And don't get me wrong, the Jamaican people were not giving them a good chance. You know, when they were walking out, the fans were saying to them, so what did you think about the referee? Did you think that they paid the referee? They had a lot to tell the players. So if I were the players too, I would have just bent my head and walked right out.
Lance, there's been a lot of controversy. Yeah. Well, you know where I stand on it because we discussed it last night about the referee's call on the Damien Lowe header. But before I ask you, though, so prepare yourself to answer that question. Mariah, you were there when Damien Lowe headed that one in and the stadium erupted, and then the referee indicated that infringement, no goal. What was the reaction from the crowd at that time?
The crowd were extremely disappointed. They were asking as to, well, the first thing people wanted to know is the nationality of the referee. As to, that's
where it come from?
Yeah.
He's Costa Rican, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they felt as if there was some sort of bias.
Yes.
Now, when Damien Lowe came off, I actually spoke to him when he came off, not in an interview format or whatever, but you could see the look on his face as if, he felt defeated, as if he was cheated.
Yeah, he was robbed.
Yeah, you heard the answer that Tapper gave me, a very strategic answer. But they know, that they were cheated.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lance, your view on the referee's call?
The minimal contact, George. When, in an aerial situation like that, when defenders and attackers are challenging for a ball, you're going to expect some contact, and I didn't think the contact was enough to call the goal back. I thought it was a clean goal.
Well, Mariah, after the game, when the officials, I know you would have been scrambling at that time to get yourself in position to do the interviews, but did you see any of the Jamaican team officials approach the referee to speak to him in the way that Mourinho would have gone out there to have a few words with the referee walking off the pitch? Did you see any of the Reggae Boyz coaching staff engage the referees at all, or any of the players?
No, I didn't see that at all. I can't speak to that.
All right, but so is it that you from what you saw, the referees just left the field normal without anybody going to him?
Yeah.
Okay. I felt from the run of play, and then every time I see the replay, I'm more convinced that it was a foul. I've seen a couple of videos, persons who asked me my opinion immediately after, then sent me a video later on to say, well, here's what this panel is saying. And I'm saying that the foul that we saw is perhaps the most common foul that a centre-half in the attacking phase commits from a corner kick or from a free kick from out on the flanks, near the corner flag side. So how the centre-half usually gets away with that infringement? If he is... And I'm talking men's football here, yeah? We're recognizing that women's football is well and growing. How he usually gets away with it is this. To jump, the aim of the centre-half is to...
This is the attacking centre-half.
The centre-half is the attacking phase.
Who is attacking, yes.
The aim of the centre-half is to get as high as possible, hopefully to hang in the air, while preventing his marker from jumping and competing equally for the ball. That's the aim. Sometimes the means they use to do so are fair and they get away with it. Sometimes they are caught. So what the centre-half who gets away with it will do is to use the forearm, because when you jump and you have the forearm like this and you make the heading motion, it is easier to fool the referee into thinking that you use your arm to propel you upwards, and then in going upwards, then the arm naturally came down to rest on your opponent, heading in, so no foul. So that would have been what Damien should have done to get away with that, and to make it more difficult for the referee to say, was that a foul or not? What Damien actually did, He started his run outside the box. He worked himself into the box, shaking off one marker because someone was assigned to him. So he was zigzagging his run to throw off his marker. Then he pulled onto Zimmerman, very clever. Very clever in shaking off the marker. Very clever in pulling onto Zimmerman, who didn't see him, so didn't know that there was somebody coming behind, so to brace himself for that kind of challenge. So when he approached Zimmerman's back, rather than using the forearm to keep Zimmerman down, Damian put his hands on Zimmerman's shoulder. The moment you put your hands on Zimmerman's shoulder, even if the force is not enough to keep Zimmerman down, it's going to give the referee cause and say, no, you did that to hold him down. So if Damian does this on Zimmerman's shoulder, goes up, so he gets a platform to vault himself upwards, and because he's holding on, he can hang in the air the way Cristiano does when he's scoring those improbable headers. So you hang and you prevent the opponent from jumping. So if you notice, immediately the ball hit the back of the net, Zimmerman turns to the referee, and the referee blows. And if you notice, the key thing for me in all of this, up to this point, Damian Lowe, a player with a fiery temper, does not, on the field, remonstrate with the referee about the call.
Yeah.
He does not. And that would have been 2-1, perhaps the game-winning goal, almost no time left. The referee blows, he just runs back to his position and carries on playing. That, for me, tells that he was trying to get away with something, the ref caught him. So I'm not with those who say it was not a foul and it was a bad call. I think it was a good call.
What I saw, though, George, the motion that you just described was very, very momentary. It was a very momentary move from
But you never told it has to be momentary, though.
Yeah, but
that is why.
It didn't, in my opinion, stifle the defender's opportunity to defend the ball.
But
that is the reason why I think it was a foul. Was not a foul. Was not a foul.
And George and Lance, this comes down to the discussion we had with Taylor Twellman on the zone about having VAR at this level, because we could have gotten the opportunity or the satisfaction of saying,
I'm not sure if VAR would have overturned it, though, because it was marginal, and the referee's call was a foul.
Yes,
and based on VAR's application, the referee would have had to make a tremendously egregious error for it to be overturned.
Right.
Yes,
so they wouldn't have trouble
I am not sure that VAR would have overturned it, but I still think, based on what I saw, it was a very tame.
I felt the same.
But Lance, guess what? I've seen that kind of situation play out so many times. I remember there was a game.
Yes.
There was a game in which Alex Ferguson's Manchester United came from behind to beat Spurs 5-2 at Old Trafford. They had gone down 2-0. And they came back and scored 5
goals. Was that the halftime talk? Say, this is
Spurs? No, that was a 5-3. That was in the Beckham, Teddy Sheringham, Andy Cole, Dwight York
just playing around, George.
So it was the Ronaldo time now, so the other game. Ledley King scored the second goal for Spurs, which should have been called off. You know what he did? I recall who was the defender. It was maybe one of the fullbacks, shorter in stature, who pulled in central defensive position.
Yes.
King went up like this, headed in. That should have been called, but the ref was at a bad angle, he didn't see. I'm saying, you say momentarily. All Damian Lowe has to do in a split second is to hold Zimmerman down, because Zimmerman's jump would have put Damian Lowe off. Well, that's his intention. And he would have presented a physical obstacle to perhaps Damian getting his body contorted to direct the ball on goal the way he did. So all it takes, Mariah, is just a split second to just do this. I'm sorry, right? Yeah? So I'm saying it was the left hand that was the problem. But Lance, I'm saying again, Mariah, if you are attacking the ball in the opposition penalty box or a corner kick or from a free kick out that side, the moment you put both hands on your opponent, even momentarily, you give the referee cause to say, you're trying to steal the advantage. You're trying to impede the opponent. And that, I think, was the thinking of our Costa Rican referee. I don't think it was a bad call or a biased call. Don't think so.
Well, we heard from Tapan, he's saying that they're going to look at the tapes and stuff. But we know how these things goes, and
there can be no stewards inquiry. Let's take a break and come right back.
Antonio, the shot, what a goal!